Oh, hi there, food friends. It's Kevin.
Hello, I'm Ralph behind the camera.
And welcome to Cavalcade of Food. Here we are. I don't know how it happened, but it's autumn already, Ralph.
Time to start thinking about dishes to keep us warm.
Keep us warm, keep us feeling safe and good and
nourished.
We say we gotta put our winter weight on to get through.
I think we're good in that department.
Yeah, probably through the hard Michigan winter ahead. But we were at one of our local restaurants that we like to eat at last week, and they had beef noodle soup was the soup of the day, and we both ordered it. And was it good?
It was so
Wasn't
good.
It? And we said, you know what? Let's make beef noodle soup. And we've got friends coming up today to spend the day with us. And we thought, you know what? Here's would be a great lunch. A nice hearty bowl of beef noodle soup and some crusty warm bread.
And you know what's good about beef noodle soup? It's delicious, warming comfort food where you don't have to use your own noodle too hard to make it, right?
Well, that's good because we can't strain our noodles too hard. So, all right. Here's kind of what I've got going on. I've got about a pound, a little more than a pound, about a pound point two of stewing beef, and I cut it up into even smaller pieces, Ralph, because it was in kind of big chunks for like beef stew.
Chunkier, okay.
But we don't want those big giant pieces in our soup. We want smaller pieces. So I cut it up a little. I diced it up a little finer. I've got a cup of onion, cup of celery, cup of carrots. I've got 6 cups of beef stock here, and it's hot.
You can see the steam coming off of it. So that's and I was
and
just
our
gonna
egg
say,
noodles.
And our egg noodles. So this is very traditional beef noodle soup. The one that we had at the restaurant was pretty traditional, but I don't believe it had celery in it.
I don't think it did. We're going to put celery. We like celery. Now I'm going to put this. Oh, come over here by the pot, Ralph. I've got about 2 tablespoons of olive oil that I put in the pot. Okay. And
is that just to sort of give it a sear?
Yes. We're going to sear these beef cubes here.
And lock in the flavor.
Exactly. I'm going to give it a nice dose of salt and a little bit of pepper. And we just want to brown. There's something about seared beef when it's got a sear on it. It really brings out a lot of flavor. Plus, that's going to add some nice beefy goodness in terms of the bottom of the pan.
Right.
Okay?
So it's important to sear the beef because you don't want clumps of graying, kind of grayish, muddy.
When you see gray meat run away.
Yeah, you might not like it.
So, anyways, this will give the beef a nice color, and it will really enhance the flavor of it.
So pleasing to the eye and the tummy. And you mentioned celery being one of our favorite things to cook with, and I wanted to remind our friends that we actually did an episode called "Celery is the New Orange" or "The New Black" or something like that.
Yeah,
we were so into celery a few years ago. But anyway, so that's going to be part of this classic comfort soup, beef noodle.
Ralph, I want to tell our friends that when the beef first starts to cook and brown, a lot of the water in the meat is going to come out, and you're going to have a lot of liquid in here.
But not for long.
But not for long. Let it cook out. Let it evaporate. The meat won't brown in the liquid, obviously. So just let that liquid evaporate. That'll concentrate. Look down here. See that? You know what that is?
What's that called?
That's flavor.
Oh.
Okay.
You know what I've found recently?
Look how nice it's browning.
Is don't be afraid to almost let it burn. Like when you're searing meat, it's like it's got to get so hot that you get a crust almost on the meat. So you don't want it to burn, obviously, but don't be so skittish if you think it's starting to burn. Let it get
so we're going to let this brown a little bit longer now that the water has come out of the meat and it's really concentrated.
See, you want to hear that sizzle, and you want to see that darkness that's almost just like a pre-burn.
On that. Now I'm going to actually take the meat out here, Ralph. I'm going to take these beef cubes out.
See how they've kind of shrunken down?
Yeah, they have, exactly. They've lost their moisture, and it's just really
They're
great
what we
flavor.
would call bite-sized for a beef noodle soup.
Yeah, they're good for a soup. Now, what you see down there is...
Is your heat the same, or did you lower it?
I lowered it. It's down to medium now.
Otherwise, you would have a burn on your hands.
And here we go.
Okay, so what you're going to do next
I'm going to put a
is...
little bit more fat in here. Okay, in this case I'm using olive oil. You could use butter if you want.
Or vegetable oil.
Or vegetable oil.
But you're saying that there's so much flavor going on, you're not going to really notice the olive taste.
Onion. Celery.
Snap, crackle, and pop.
Carrot. We want to just cook these a little bit. Obviously, they're going to cook in the soup once we add our liquid, but I just want to get them sort of softened a little bit.
And also that flavor from the bottom of the pan is going right into those veggies.
Sure is.
Because they're porous and they're, as you know, liquid. Vegetables have a lot of liquid in them.
Look what's happening to the bottom of the pan. And you're right, Ralph. These vegetables have a lot of water in them, and it'll start coming out here in a second. And it'll essentially deglaze the pan for us.
So what I do is I keep a bottle of red wine on hand at my house.
For just such things?
No, just to drink it.
Okay.
No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah.
Well, it's good for that.
I like to deglaze pans with wine.
Everyone always says, never use wine in cooking that you wouldn't drink on its own,
okay.
right?
Yeah, that's true.
So, see, now look what's happening. See the water? I don't know if the camera can get it. The water's coming out of these vegetables, and it's basically cleaning the bottom of the pan, but in doing so, these veg are absorbing all that incredible flavor. You especially see it in the onions because they're almost getting that brownish color that was on the bottom of our pot here. So
it's a practical way to clean the pan and flavor the veggies.
Yeah, so we're going to let these veg go about 5-10 minutes. Then we'll come back and we'll put the stock in, the meat back in, and our noodles, and we're on our way to making a nice big pot of beef noodle soup.
Couldn't be easier. We like old-fashioned food, and we like old-fashioned music, and old-fashioned recipes, and we're listening to Doc Severinsen.
Is that who that is?
Yeah.
Great instrumental music.
And we got to see him perform live with the DSO a few years ago.
We did, and he was terrific.
That's Detroit Symphony Orchestra.
I think he's about 90 years old, and he's still going strong.
Still going strong. So, all right, where are we?
So we are into our vegetables have gotten softened and nicely
flavorized.
Yeah, in our pan there. We're going to add our beef back in. Let's stir that around. Okay.
So if you had other types of beef or protein, like a leftover pot roast or something, could you use that?
Yeah, actually that would save a step, Ralph, because obviously the meat would already be cooked. You know, you just want to cut it up into small pieces. But yeah, leftover pot roast would be terrific to use because the meat's already done and already has great flavor. Okay, so now there's everything in terms of our beef and our veg. Now, again, we've got 6 cups here.
Wow. So that's your beef broth going in?
Yeah. I'm going to just...
kind of do a little at a time?
Yeah, I want to make sure I'm getting all of that. Now the beef broth, you can do it in any number of ways here. You can make it with a, what they call a soup base. You can make it with bouillon. You can buy beef stock already prepared. Obviously, it's another way of doing it. So you need 6 cups any way you get your beef stock.
For this recipe?
For this recipe.
Plus we're feeding a number of folks.
So, okay, now we're going to add in our noodles.
Talk about those noodles. Are those...
these are egg noodles. You could use...
so they're pretty flat and wide.
They're flat.
They're curly, but they're not as curly as some.
Right, they got a little twist to them. You could certainly use flat noodles, like a dumpling noodle. You see them sometimes from some of the Amish manufacturers. You could use crusty, which is also kind of a dumpling noodle.
Like the kind of noodle you might see in a chicken noodle soup traditionally, and that's what was in the beef noodle soup we had at our local restaurant a couple weeks ago.
But we like egg noodles.
Oh,
so
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah.
put those in there.
I like those twists and curlicues because it captures some of the meat and the veggies in there. When you get a bite, it's just sliding off.
Now that everything's in, I'm going to bring this up a little bit, and we're going to bring it up to a simmer, and we're going to let this simmer for, it should simmer about, let's say about 45 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes, and then it'll be ready to go, just in time for lunch. So our beef noodle soup has been simmering.
The big reveal. For how long?
About an hour. So now I thought it was a little on the thick side. Okay.
But not the broth. You mean more noodles than
yeah.
The noodle to broth ratio.
So what I did is I added 2 more cups of beef stock to it because you know what, the noodles really soaked up a good amount of that. So you could put less noodles in. I probably put in about 3 cups of noodles, but it made a lot. So
well, our friends really like when we do the taste test, so let's see how it came out.
We're going to put a little of this in here.
Okay.
So first of all,
looks good. Look
at that. How good does that look?
You can see the carrots, you can see the chunks of beef,
the onion, the celery. Now, of course, it's going to be hot. Now, when our friends come over, this is going to go in the oven for a bit to get nice and crusty, but let's see what we're in for here with the soup. Yeah, nice pieces of beef, browned. Let me get a noodle. Oh, look at that, Ralph.
Did the onion dissolve, or is there onion in there too?
You can barely see it. The onions kind of
disintegrate.
Yeah.
Incorporate.
But you can see the celery and the carrot.
When you were
that is a soup
cooking it, I was thinking it almost smelled like a beef pot pie.
Well, you know what? You definitely are getting the beef flavor.
And then those vegetables and the brothiness.
Yeah. I mean, this and bread, you've got yourself a wonderful meal.
I think he likes it, folks.
I think he does. So you know what?
What?
I'm going to try not to eat too much of this soup before our friends come over for lunch. But we sure had a great time making this really fairly easy beef noodle soup.
Hearty and good for the coming cooler months that we're facing.
Good for the mind, good for the body, good for the soul. Beef noodle soup.
Good for the taste buds.
Yeah, even better. So we had a great time. Thanks for spending time with us today here on Cavalcade of Food, and we'll see you next time right here on good old Cavalcade of Food.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Doc.